You're watching Saki Chronicles.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Barry.
Hey, Bear. Whoa.
Oh, shit.
I don't like the look of this.
What is this shit, Barry?
Gentlemen, I think it's time that we rank the Resident Evil characters.
Jesus, no.
I'm out.
Oh, come on, you baby.
He's not wrong, though, Bear. This list will take forever, and I've got things to do.
Like getting ready to pardon that son of yours?
That's below the belt, Barry, even for you.
Okay, I'm back. But only because I think you two will cock it up if I'm not here.
Fair enough. Let's set some ground rules first, though.
Okay.
Of course.
Much like our last ranking of Resident Evil, this is only for the core games. Anything with a number, basically.
And Code V?
Yes, Donnie. Code V as well.
Good.
I'm going to enjoy ripping into that emo son of a bitch, Don.
I'll be waiting with bells on you, geriatric fuck.
Guys, save it. Secondly, we'll be ranking bosses, of course, but nothing smaller than those, so no Regenerators or Dr. Salvadors, unfortunately.
Seems fair.
What? The doctor is terrifying.
That's true, but he's not a boss, Don. You can blast him away with a few shots from the rifle alone, so this is just to save time.
Fine.
Lastly, this will be done in order of release date.
Will Joe be able to...
I swear to God, if you make another senile joke.
Honestly surprised you remembered, old man.
All right, let's start with the OG 1996 Resident Evil.
You mean we're going to rank each character from the game separately? Not as a whole?
That's right, because each character changes from game to game. The Leon in the originals is different than in the remakes. That goes with a lot of characters too, like Ada and Chris.
I see.
That does make it a bit more interesting, but it'll take a lot longer.
Much longer.
Then let's get going already. Real quick though, no bosses from the OG since they don't change at all in the remake, and this will save time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
First up is Chris Redfield.
Oh man, the OG boy. He's at least A tier. There's no way around it. He was one of the pioneer characters into this franchise.
True, but just like what I said last time we talked about this game, the dialogue is a dumpster fire, and their tanky controls are the most frustrating for the franchise. Unfortunately, this will completely infect each character in this game, and I refuse to place any of the OG higher than C tier.
Donnie, come on, ease up. The writing was terrible, I agree, but Chris wasn't that bad.
Let me remind you that he uses dad jokes.
We got to the root of the problem.
Calls Wesker pitiful.
Wesker, you're pitiful.
And you're gay!
And the man doesn't even know what Umbrella is.
What's Umbrella?
Don't you know?
The world-class pharmaceutical company that is known throughout Raccoon City, the very city he lives and works in.
Oh, that's right. It's even on their welcome sign.
Joe, you can't really say that. That was most likely added afterwards.
Regardless, during this point in time, Umbrella would have their hands in a lot of pies, so it's kind of stupid that Chris wouldn't know who they are, but Rebecca does.
It's a large-scale pharmaceutical company based in Raccoon City.
All right, you've made your stupid point. His lines were shit, and his controls were garbage like everyone else's at the time. But he still took more damage than Jill did, and his story kept the game from being too linear. Plus, it opened up a hatred between him and Wesker that grows throughout the franchise, fat ass. So he goes into B rank, and that's it.
Jesus, Barry, we're not campaigning anymore. You don't have to try so hard.
Yeah, that got weird.
Whatever, let's move on to Jill already.
What, my wife?
No, you demented dumbass, Jill Valentine.
Don't you take that tone with me, Donnie. I can still send your orange ass to Gitmo.
Guys, enough. Back onto Jill Valentine. She was obviously the more popular of the two. She had more inventory, and her lockpick was a better tool than Chris's lighter.
The master of unlocking.
And her actual lines weren't too bad. Plus, she felt like an actual cop trying to investigate the mystery of the mansion.
I've been thinking something is wrong with this house.
That's right. Her and Barry were constantly looking for clues as to what happened, finding pages torn out and pictures here and there. And if I'm not mistaken, her story is more in line with the canon than Chris's.
I have nothing really bad for Jill. She gets the grenade launcher and she has Barry to help her out with some monster kills, as well as basically giving her the shotgun. My only sticking point was when she actually sympathized with the tyrant, even after it pimp slaps Barry like a bitch.
That can't be true.
It can't control what it does.
Oh, wow.
But I digress. Other than that, she's still pretty good. I vote B tier.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, B it is. Now to Barry Burton.
Easy, it should be the same, right? B tier?
I would think that too.
No way, guys. He's almost as bad as Chris whenever he talked.
Nitpicky asshole.
Jesus Christ, Don, you're really swinging hard at this game tonight.
Hey, you wanted honesty, so here it is. Barry may have had the bigger gun, but his dialogue was atrocious. He was always complaining about how clumsy he was.
Hey, what's going on?
Now I've done it. Sorry, Jill.
Sorry. I was really careless.
I'm really embarrassed. I was clumsy.
He double-crosses Wesker simply because he overheard him instead of the guilt he'd felt. Plus, need I remind you of the most famous line of all?
Oh, God damn it.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
Oh man, I'm getting hungry now.
Idiot.
Also, wasn't there a scene where after Jill kills Yawn, he walks over its corpse to ask if she's found anything weird with the house?
Jill, have you found anything interesting?
Oh, yeah, he's right. Is that what early onset dementia looks like?
Hey, don't ask me. Joe's the expert.
Fuck you both.
Well, okay then. C tier, but high C. He still helps out.
Yeah, seems right.
Yeah.
Fine, moving on. Rebecca is next.
Oh yeah, let's rank Rebecca, you simp.
I can't wait for this one.
I bet you can't, but it's going to be B tier, of course.
Really?
Not going to even put her higher?
Okay, hear me out. Rebecca in the OG has her ups and downs, I can admit that.
At the risk of exciting Creepy Joe, she almost sounds way too young to be 18.
Go sit out in the sun some more, you leathery bitch. But he's right. She uses bug spray as her only defense. Like, where the fuck is her gun?
Whoa! What is it?
What? Oh no!
No shit, a cop misplacing their service weapon. Disgraceful.
She still is able to create an explosive large enough to destroy the entire mansion and research facility.
Rebecca, can you do it?
Yes, sir. I'll set off a triggering system for a bomb.
And she's also the one who services the helicopters.
It's strange. I serviced the helicopter recently.
So she has mechanical knowledge as well.
That's probably why it crashed in the first place.
But something went wrong with the engine. It was such a short flight.
Not good for your argument, Barry.
Sabotage, gentlemen, not her fault.
But her dialogue was still cringe as fuck with her constantly talking like a 12-year-old Boy Scout. Also, in one scene, she doesn't even know who Chris is.
Who are you?
I'm Chris, of Alpha Team.
Chris not knowing a company is one thing, but Rebecca not knowing who her coworker is another. Plus, she nearly dies to the hunter because, again, where the fuck is her gun?
But she helps Chris against Plant 42 using her extensive knowledge in biochemistry.
Nah, sorry, Bear, but I'm going to side with Donnie on this one. Other than the Plant 42, we don't actually see her doing any of the other traits she says she does. Plus, Shinji Mikami still didn't put much faith in her, and it shows. C tier.
Yup, chuck her into C along with the others.
Dear Lord, this is ridiculous. Donnie can't be right. They can't all be C tier.
It was your idea to do each one per game instead of all lumped together, Barry, so this is your fault.
Come on, you baby, my streak is on fire tonight. I can feel it.
Not for long, though, asshole. Next is Wesker.
Oh, shit.
Wesker was kind of a joke in the OG, not gonna lie.
Stop it! Don't open that door!
His lines were just like everyone else's, but I think his main flaw was that he didn't seem like the backstabbing mastermind we know him as today.
In later games, he comes off as an evil genius, but in the OG, he actually sounds like he's about to cry when Chris is laughing at Tyrant.
Stop it!
Sorry, Don, but he's C tier as well.
Come on, he gets stabbed by Tyrant in Chris's story and lives. Even in his low polygon form, he's a true juggernaut.
That may be, but in Jill's story, he gets knocked out by Barry. And that's it.
That's pretty fucking lame.
C tier.
Fine.
Good. Let's finish this off with a quick rundown of the others before moving on to Resident Evil 2.
Sounds good to me.
We're just going to vote on them quick?
Yeah, other than Richard Aiken, there's not much more we can talk about with these corpses. Which, by the way, where should Richard go?
You're terrible demons. Ouch!
Calls everything demons, including the obviously not demon-looking giant fucking snake, which he then says is poisonous as an afterthought.
Well, he dies in a hallway from Yawn, regardless of whether you get him the serum or not.
No! Richard!
Okay, sounds like D tier.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, and what about Enrico?
All he does is let the player know that there's a traitor amongst them.
The stars are doomed. Someone is a traitor.
Other than that, Wesker kills him, making him just another STARS member corpse. D tier.
Same.
I can see your point.
Honestly, they really didn't do anything but add to the horror of the game. But since they don't have any characterization or gameplay to speak of, they're really just fodder for the D tier.
He's right, man, Barry. This is already a pretty shitty list. What a terrible idea this was.
Fuck off, Flop Top. It'll get better after this, you'll see. I mean, we're only talking about the first one in the series from 1996. It's bound to be low tier because of the production value alone.
That's true.
There's nowhere to go but up, so just stick with it and we'll see where it leads in the end.
We'll see, Barry.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the Resident Evil 2 characters from 1998.
Which ending are we going to use? The canon one?
Which one is canon again?
Technically, it's Claire A and Leon B. But for the sake of our rankings, we'll incorporate all of them because it's more fun that way. Who gives a fuck?
Fair enough.
Okay, let's start with Leon Kennedy, of course.
Rest in peace, Paul.
For real, he was amazing as Leon.
Straight fact.
So where does Mr. Kennedy go onto this list?
What have we got here?
Oh, Jesus, I forgot that his face looks like melted Play-Doh.
At least his graphics were a product of his time. What's your excuse for that turkey neck you got going on there?
At least I don't look like that wheelchair guy with the fucked up face in Hannibal.
Come on, guys, focus here. Leon did great on his first day, and even though we were still in the tank control era, his gameplay was very good. They even fixed up the dialogue going forward so the lines weren't cringe.
He did place way too much trust into someone he barely knows.
I know her. Ada wouldn't do something like that.
Dude just met her like 3 hours ago. Cool your jets, homie.
Not to mention that for someone who tells Ada that he's responsible for keeping her safe.
As an officer, it's my job to look out for you.
The dude loses track of her constantly.
Ada, wait! Ada, wait! Ada, wait!
I can't argue with that. I would also like to add that I loved his alternative costumes, especially the one where he looked like a thug. He even tilts his gun sideways, which makes it shoot faster for some reason.
Oh. Check it out.
A-tier shit right there.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Gotta support our boy in blue.
Of course.
Let's move to Claire Redfield then.
Hell yes, my girl Claire ready to kick some zombie ass.
I have to admit, she really does hold up her own.
Girl carries a combat knife as she goes for a casual stroll. This Hellraiser is constantly ready for a fight at all times.
And yet she's immediately ready to take care of Sherry the moment she finds her.
But it's dangerous here as well. You'd better come with me.
Motherly instincts kicking in hard on this one, boys. The bloodline is ready to be saved.
No cap, Leon, get in there already.
Not gonna lie, the way she tries to protect Sherry is truly heartwarming, but damn, she's almost as bad as Leon when it comes to keeping track of this little girl.
Wait, Sherry, don't go alone. Sherry! Sherry! I can take care of myself. Wait, Sherry, come back. Sherry! Sherry!
Sherry, where are you?
Claire even manages to say a Sherry wait line herself.
It's here! Sherry, wait!
That's not completely on her, Barry. You can't stop a little girl from running off if she just wants to get away, right, Joe?
How the fuck should I know, Pencil Dick?
She also doesn't seem to mind that the mayor's daughter is just fucking dead on the chief's desk. Doesn't even question it.
That's the mayor's daughter. I was told to look after her, but I failed miserably.
Oh, right. Doesn't he just start talking about taxidermy for no reason after that?
And to think that taxidermy used to be my hobby. But no longer.
Wake up, girl. Red flags.
Minuscule compared to others. The fact is that she's nearly dead-ass peak with how well she was written back in 1998. S-tier for sure.
Not with her situational awareness being like a deer in headlights. And constantly losing a little girl in a zombie apocalypse is Lori Grimes-level parenting.
Sorry, Don, I'm with Joe on this one. High A-tier for sure.
Yep.
You guys are fucking idiots, but whatever. A-tier is still a W for me either way.
Good. Since we were talking about her, what about Sherry Birkin?
Yes, Joe, tell us, what does her hair smell like?
Fuck off, you fat cheese roll. But I will say that she was a little badass in 1998. The girl was running around zombies, trying to find her daddy. How she even made it to the police station and survived is truly a feat of strength.
Yeah, she managed to elude Mr. X, even when it was specifically ordered to find the G sample hiding in her pendant.
The sample's inside the pendant Sherry's wearing.
She even seemed to survive being face-to-face with him for what must have been like 5 minutes.
This little girl survived longer than that with no weapons and no training.
All good points, guys. But to be honest, I don't see her higher than C-tier. We barely control her, and you can't really praise her survivability when she's wearing all that plot armor. There was no way she was going to die.
She gets infected with the Golgotha parasite. That was fucking horrific.
She wasn't the only one, though, Creepy Joe. Ben the reporter was infected too, and it ripped right through him in minutes. Sherry gets it, and she survives hours later.
That's true, but again, she has all that plot armor, so she was never really in any danger. They would never kill a kid no matter how gory the game is. So I have to agree with Donnie. C tier is a good spot for her.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I bet she does, creepy.
Guys, let's go. Ada Wong.
Oh man, Ada Wong in 1998 was such a fucking fox. Not to mention that she felt like such a believable character to me. Like Claire, she's also looking for someone.
Right, but we know that she was a spy looking for the G virus.
Nothing gets past you, Sleepy Joe, but hold your horses and let me finish. Yes, now we know she was a spy, but playing it for the first time and only having known her from the documents mentioning her in the OG game, it was plausible that she was just looking for a loved one.
That's true. It isn't even until she bumps into Annette much later that it's revealed she had ulterior motives. However, she still looks remorseful that her boyfriend died.
I just found out. John's dead.
What?
Never mind.
And she actually cares for Leon.
She wouldn't shoot him to complete her mission and then falling to her death in one ending.
Ada, wait!
Or just straight up shooting Mr. X right in the fucking face to save him.
I remember her having a mean right hook too, right?
Great points, so where do we put her?
As badass as she was, she isn't at her full potential yet, so B tier.
I'm the same. You have to recognize her plot armor too, because how the fuck does she survive either falling 200 feet or having her spine shattered?
Holy shit, you fucking killed her, dude!
That's fair, B tier then. Okay, next is Chief Brian Irons.
This creepazoid felt more like an obstacle than an actual main villain. I understand that he's lost his mind because he feels betrayed by Umbrella, and everyone's dying around him. But he's only in 2 scenes, one of which is his death.
He's a suspected serial killer, though, not to mention that he uses the zombie outbreak as an advantage to start killing off his own officers.
But that's only mentioned through the documents you find. I see where Joe is coming from with this. Perhaps if there was a section in the game where he was hunting you as well, possibly becoming another one of his victims. Having a human villain along with the 2 bioweapons chasing you would have been nice.
A missed opportunity for sure.
His voice lines and delivery were amazing. However, that's not enough to rank him any higher. Any objections to C tier?
Nope.
Go for it.
Done. How about Mr. X?
Mr. X gonna give it to you, the OG pursuer? This dude made me brown my pants each time he'd Kool-Aid his ass through a wall. Each and every single time.
Oh yeah!
Sometimes even running out of the room didn't help because he'd just smash through to the next one.
Oh yeah!
It was definitely more tense with him constantly popping up. Plus, he'd give you sweet shit if you were able to down him. I think he's good enough for A tier with the others.
I agree.
I don't.
What?
What, you think S tier instead?
No, he's at least B.
How?
I keep telling you, Barry, he's brain dead.
Listen, Mr. X is an intimidating villain, of course, but if you had a good amount of ammo, you could just take him out each time he showed up. He was super slow and easy to dodge, which took the terror out of most of his encounters.
His super tyrant form was much faster and powerful.
Yes, but it only shows up once at the very end, and that's it. If you lasted long enough for Ada to toss you the rocket launcher, which isn't hard to do at all, then you dusted him easy.
Use this!
Ada, is that you?
That's enough to have him in B tier, maybe even high B at that, but not higher.
I don't like it.
Nor do I, but for the sake of time, I'll put it in there so we can move on. So let's talk about William Birkin.
Oh man, this dude was the true big boss of the game. I love how the creators made him gradually get worse and worse.
For real, Donnie. Whereas Mr. X would lumber towards you every time you showed up, when Birkin was on screen, he'd transformed into something worse each and every time, making his encounters different. Come to think of it, he's the forerunner for all the bosses that mutate and transform multiple times in future games. Looking at you, Simmons.
I definitely recall that you couldn't just back up and shoot as much while fighting Birkin. He'd jump on top of things and cut you off in multiple engagements, making him a much harder boss fight. Impressive programming for 1998.
Yeah, but the design wasn't. I always felt like they just threw things together with each transformation, but those graphics aged like mayonnaise.
You really gonna make an aging joke, old man? Come on, that's too easy, even for me.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Donnie. You ain't aging like wine over there. Regardless, his encounters are much harder to deal with, especially with those tank controls, and you really had to watch where you moved. He wasn't boring, so A tier for me.
Sure.
Okay, let's just rank the side characters real quick and move on to the next one. Robert Kendo.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Tragic character that for some reason becomes a creepy horn dog when dealing with Claire.
Ooh. Sorry about that, babe.
What's going on in this town?
Hold on. I ain't got no clue, darling. By the time I noticed something was wrong, the entire city was infested with zombies. But don't you worry, girlie. You'll be safe in here.
It's like looking into a mirror, huh, Donnie?
I'm a gentleman, Creepy Joe. I know how to talk to women.
I always found it stupid how this man, who has been surviving since day one of the outbreak, manages to fuck it all up by standing next to his giant ass glass window.
Real talk, his death always haunted me for some reason, getting gang banged by zombies. D tier.
No arguments.
Creepy Kendo gets the D, got it. Next up is Annette Birkin.
She was more of an exposition to the G virus and what happened to her husband.
As a result of his virus-induced transmutation, William should have lost any prior memories he had as a human by now.
And she really didn't seem to care about her daughter very much. Like, who gives their kid a virus sample for safekeeping?
She's always bait and switching her death, too.
But still is important for plot purposes in exposing Ada to Leon and explaining what happened to William. C tier?
Low C.
Agreed.
Okay, let's finish with Marvin Branagh.
Easy, B tier.
What?
No.
What? How can you say that? Marvin's the man. He even has a little joke when you first see him.
Sorry, but it looks like your party has been canceled.
Come on, Joe. He's just like Kendo, only not as stupid.
And we don't even see him get bit.
But we do get to see him change. That's pretty dope.
Not dope enough.
I agree. D tier.
Whatever.
You can't win them all, Joey.
Neither can you, fat boy. That's why I'm in office.
Shut up, guys, and let's move on to Resident Evil 3, Nemesis. But before we start, I just want to give mad props to the voice of Dario Rosso, the guy in the warehouse with Jill.
What? What do you think you're talking about? I just lost my daughter out there! How dare you tell me to go back outside?
That would be Tony Rosato. Rest in peace.
He also voiced Nemesis himself as well.
Stars.
And Luigi from the cartoon.
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario!
He was amazing. You can actually hear the anxiety and fear in this dude's voice.
We have to get out of here!
No! I'm not going anywhere! I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone!
Oscar worthy.
Agreed.
No cap.
Okay, so obviously we'll begin with Jill. And let me start off by saying that even though I don't care for the dodge mechanics and choice system that were implemented in this one, I will say that it does make her character more OP than in the first game.
No shit it does. She was able to dodge attacks long before Leon was doing it. This girl was kicking so much ass that it was no wonder she was able to survive.
She's humble about it too, having no idea how she's still alive.
Somehow, I'm still alive.
So let's break it down. She's already a veteran of killing zombies and monsters. Her gameplay feels much smoother than in OG, and thank God her dialogue is better.
She's more ballsy too. A couple times she can just run up and push Nemesis right off a ledge with her own two hands.
Boy, if you don't get...
She definitely isn't scared of getting her hands dirty. The woman wants to live, that's for damn sure.
Which brings me to the best part. The Raccoon City outbreak has officially happened days before the game starts, which is September 28th.
September 28th, daylight.
Jill fucking Valentine will then go on to survive everything from zombies to Nemesis to even a fucking nuclear bomb, which hits the city on October 1st. That means that she was able to survive through all that chaos for nearly a week. That's S-tier material right there.
And she even slaps Carlos for good measure.
S-tier just for that, and the other things too, of course.
Wait, doesn't Nemesis infect her, though?
Yes, but she survives it.
With Carlos's help?
Fact is fact, she still lived. Surviving Nemesis over and over on her own each time is impressive, which is more than what I can say for Brad Vickers.
Yeah, let's just get that chicken-hearted piece of shit out of the way.
Listen, he's coming for us. We're both gonna die.
He really doesn't do anything for the plot other than show that Nemesis is after STARS members.
He's after STARS members. There's no escape.
The man gets hentai to death, that's for sure.
Brutal as fuck, not gonna lie, but he's only in 2 scenes, and one of which is his death in a cinematic. Plus, I'm just going to add that he left his other team members to fend for themselves back at the Spencer mansion.
But he went back.
So what? That doesn't negate the fact that he left his teammates to die.
Not to mention that also, there's a motherfucking helipad on the estate. Brad could have landed there hours before, loaded up the rocket launcher, and went Rambo. Instead, he stayed in the air where it was safer. Fucking D tier.
That's a little harsh. He gives them the rocket launcher at the end to help kill Tyrant.
Kill that monster!
No, I'm going to side with Barry on this. He doesn't have any gameplay. He leaves his comrades to die.
No! Don't go!
Hell, you don't even see him in game unless you do a special Easter egg in Re 2. And that rocket launcher probably wouldn't have needed to give it to them in the first place if he'd have stayed long enough for them to gather their gear from the chopper once they saw how bad the situation was.
They were running from zombie dogs. They didn't have time to gear up.
No, they were running back to the chopper and had time to stand around. D tier.
Okay, fine. Can we move on?
Of course. Next would be Carlos, who was a great supporting character. His personality alone kept the game from being a depressing slog. He had spunk, and it showed.
Of course the kid had spunk. He wanted to give it all to Jill throughout the entire game.
Jesus, Joe.
Fucking gross.
The entire city is burning around. There are zombies and monsters everywhere, and this asshole literally interrupts Jill to be flirty with her.
Wait. I have to ask you something.
I know. You want to ask me out? All the foxy ladies love my accent. It drives them crazy.
So his priorities are a little screwed? Doesn't matter. Jill has an answer for that.
So he sees a beautiful woman kicking ass and he wants to shoot his shot. Big deal. It's not like it detracts from how awesome of a character he was. In fact, like I said earlier, he made the experience more fun.
He keeps his head in the game and is constantly trying to find a way to escape with Jill, despite the odds against them.
He puts himself in danger just to be a hero.
That hero stuff is harder than it looks.
When it gets too tough for him, he bails on Jill and leaves her to fend for herself against Nemesis.
I can't handle it.
Which nearly kills her. According to you guys, that's some Brad Vickers level shit right there.
Jill! Jill! Jill!
Joey, this is ridiculous. The man had a moment of weakness, but he corrected it later, even by throwing himself into more danger for the antidote.
Not to mention he's filled with weird sayings.
Do you really think the master would tell his dogs why they have to retrieve the stick he just threw?
Classic. He's lit as fuck and deserves to be high B tier. I'd even consider him A rank if he was a more playable character.
That long-haired merc is C tier at best, and I'm being generous. He's a one-shot character that doesn't return in any other games in the franchise and is only memorable by his snarky attitude.
I'm going to side with Don on this, Joe, although you do have a point. He doesn't return, so A tier is where he goes.
This is bullshit.
Take the L, you bleached prune.
Every time we get done with one, you two go at it like an old married couple. Focus. Now let's move on to the big boy himself, Nemesis.
Barry Nemesis was so iconic that they named the fucking game after him, something they haven't done since. He was terrifying as fuck. His entrance definitely set the pace for how this game was going to be.
Absolutely. He was faster and more agile than Mr. X, no lie. Motherfucker would sprint to you like a roided up Terminator. And then dome you if you weren't fast enough. But they still kept the loot system for him whenever you decided to down him. And that loot was not something to sneeze at either.
He was always showing up to wreck your shit, and you could never truly get rid of him no matter how hard you tried.
Sounds like Donnie, doesn't it?
I ain't going anywhere. 2024, baby.
He shoots down a rescue chopper, which now that I think about it, happens a couple times in this franchise.
Mike!
However, that being said, I have to mention the choice system once more. A lot of these decisions will either have Jill run to safety, or will dispatch Nemi on its own.
So, you still get to fight him at least 7 different times for a chance at his loot. I would think some respite between bouts would be welcomed. I don't think the choice system really should affect his ranking either, since that's all about Jill, not Nemi.
Too true. This mofo is so fun and memorable that he's easily S tier for me as well.
No joke, I agree with Don.
Say less, S tier. How about Nikolai Zinoviev?
This asshole always felt like he was just someone to throw in there as an evil human presence. As if all the other monsters weren't bad enough, you had this backstabbing piece of shit running around killing his own men for profit.
How about helping out?
I have no intention of helping you.
Because we're nothing but pawns in all this?
In a manner of speaking, you are.
Terrible piece of shit, yes, but I understand his motives. Guy is just taking advantage of a horrible situation and trying to make money off of it.
Wow, Donnie likes the Russian asshole. What a surprise.
Jesus, Donnie, did you just say that shit out loud?
Whatever. I'm just saying that when it comes to villain motivation, they could have done worse.
Run-of-the-mill bad guy. He wasn't deranged like Irons or a mastermind like Wesker. He was just a merc who wanted more money. Completely uninteresting. C tier at most, but mostly because he at least did things.
I would even put him in D because he only was seen in cutscenes. Even when he dies, it's either by Nemesis off-screen or Jill through the choice system.
Fine, you both made your points. C tier.
Good. How about Mikhail Victor? Personally, he wasn't that big a deal to me either, except that he blows himself up to save the others and blasts Nemesis out of the train.
Yeah, normally he'd just be a D character, but that act does save them, so I don't mind ranking him in low C.
Good. All right, guys, we're done with this one. Final thoughts?
Did you guys know that we had the power to just nuke one of our own cities and then get away with it for years to come?
I'm pretty sure that George probably looked into it.
Very funny, guys, so let's move right into Code Veronica.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Based on your setup here, I take it we're going to be doing the main characters last?
You got it.
I don't see a problem with that. So who's first?
Well, that would be Rodrigo, I guess. Come to think of it, there's not really any side characters in this one. Everyone is pretty important.
Is this the motherfucker who captures Claire, lets her out, and then gets eaten by a fucking giant worm later on?
That's him.
What a tool.
He survives the bombings, possibly getting shot, the zombies and explosions, but then gets eaten by a worm. In fact, he even survives that too for a bit. That's hilarious, but I think he's a high D character.
No, he lets Claire out of her cell and even gives her a lockpick if you give him medicine. If anything, that's C tier at least, an actual tool that helps in the game.
You mean the lockpick, right?
Sure.
He's got a point, Joe. C tier sounds about right.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's get to Alfred Ashford.
Commander of this base.
Oh, right, that giggling nut job.
Careful, Joey, we talked about this.
He's right, though, Bear. Alfred is cracked, driven insane by not having his sister around. It affected him so hard that he started dressing as her, taking on her entire personality.
A psychopath so involved in a female relative that he takes on her whole persona and attire. This dude is basically Norman Bates.
You guys are going to get us canceled.
He's not wrong, Barry. Even Claire knew what was up.
Alfred! Cross-dressing freak!
First off, it was 2000. A lot of shit was different back then. Secondly, I see your point, but let's stick to the other facts. Only once do you actually ever play against him, and all you do is dodge his rifle shots and run up some stairs. After that, nothing but cinematics and a lot of whining.
How dare you! I smell a C ranking here. He's a literal plot twist as to who the real villain of the game is.
Again, Norman Bates.
I can't see him as B tier or above simply because he doesn't seem to be of any real threat, so I agree with Donnie. C tier.
Yeah.
All right then, let's do a quick ranking of what seemed like mini-bosses. We'll start with Alexander Ashford, or Nosferatu as he's called. This boss seemed like it was going to be a good fight, but then when it happens on that rooftop, it felt like a letdown.
I thought he was going to use that axe that kept him sitting down for some reason. Instead, all you need to do is stand back a bit and shoot. Dodge his poison and that's it. Fight over.
I got some Silent Hill 2 vibes with him walking up those stairs. Wrapped up and in the mist.
Okay then, D rank?
Nah, you still fight against him and he can kill you, so C at best.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right, next is the Tyrant T-078. This motherfucker is sort of a huge joke. He seemed like an afterthought, like the developers forgot to bring out some kind of tyrant, so they scrambled to throw him into the game.
He's not as intimidating as the others. Slow as shit and can be downed within a few seconds with the grenade launcher.
His second fight on the plane is also just as boring. Shoot and dodge, and then hit him with the crate.
Hopefully you did enough damage, or the fingerless fuck yeets it back at you. Don't forget that if you fuck up and die, you have to do that whole door opening sequence again. Goddamn thing is 25 cocking seconds.
He belongs in mid-C.
Done. Okay, guys, let's get to the boy that we'll enjoy talking about, Wesker.
Greetings.
Here we go.
Oh, fuck yes.
Keep it in your pants, Donnie, Jesus.
Fuck that. I'm gonna let it swing free for my man Wesker. This motherfucker attacks the island with his HFC forces and then just strolls on up to Claire like he was invited. Grabs her by the
Don't you say it.
neck, then flashes his beautiful red eyes and bounces. This small cutscene showed that he was a brand new villain, one that shouldn't get fucked with.
I hate to admit it, but you're right. Even later on at Antarctica, he shows off his powers when fighting Chris, thrashing him around and just putting a hardcore beat down on the man. Even when Chris drops a dozen steel girders onto his dome, he gets up, unharmed.
I told you, don't fuck with Wesker.
He gets his ass chased off by Alexia.
Excuse me?
Jesus Christ, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. My old age makes me stutter sometimes. I said that Alexia Ashford, in her first form, mind you, scares him off like a little bitch.
You geriatric fossil, it was a tactical retreat, but not before he punches her in the fucking face while on fire.
A punch that was completely ineffective to her. And the moment he sees Chris, he just runs for the door. The entire reason he attacked the complex and went onto the island himself was to snatch this bitch.
You're coming with me.
But the moment he hits a little opposition, it's too tough, and he bounces.
This is so stupid. He's motherfucking Wesker.
Magnificent, don't you think?
Which makes it even more sad.
Okay, guys, calm down. It's possible that he saw an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. Use Chris to weaken Alexia and hope that he gets killed along the way. He is the mastermind after all.
Taking advantage of the situation for his own gain is what a true tactician does.
Getting some real January 6th vibes from you.
Shut the fuck up!
Focus, guys. Let's wrap this up. We get an awesome display of his power when fighting with Chris at the end.
Fighting with? More like obliterating. Chris was basically being thrown around like a rag doll for 5 minutes straight.
It's just too bad he's only in cutscenes. Once he shows up in Antarctica, you can put the controller down and sit back like this was Metal Gear Solid 4.
No, fuck you. I won't let you use that against him. He's a recurring villain that gets more powerful with each game. He threw hands at Alexia rather than blast her, and even thrashes Chris around before surviving what looks like at least a ton of steel being dropped onto him. This is a dead-ass high A-rank villain right here.
Fuck that, low B tier at the most. He still runs off, and rather than kill Chris, which he despises,
I despise Chris.
he'd rather show off his new powers than kill him. Endlessly talking. Congratulations, he's now a comic book villain.
Okay, guys, I need to step in. We've talked about this way too long. Both of you are right. He's the only villain to come back to the franchise, and he is more powerful, making all his scenes awesome to watch. Also, his voice acting is much better now, thank Christ.
You guys are idiots.
However, he does run away twice. Even in the end, he didn't seal the deal with Chris. And the moment Fire got involved once more, he leaves. That's high B rank for sure.
Fuck that shit. A tier or I'm dipping.
What a fat baby.
Jesus, Don, fine. But low A rank and that's it. And you don't get to pull that move again, you whiny little girl.
Whatever, let's move on.
Good.
Next is Alexia Ashford, the true main villain of Code Veronica. To me, she was a decent antagonist, and her transformation was pretty lit.
I see what you did there.
This bitch ass throwing blood around to light you on fire and then vomiting on you if you got too close was annoying as fuck. Made everything claustrophobic and hard to maneuver.
At least it wasn't boring like the other bosses. You actually have to think about your moves. You can't just rush around or stand still.
He's just pissy that she spanked Wesker.
You cannot tell me that this gray-scaled swamp thing looking motherfucker with literal anime hair is more powerful than Wesker. Like what the actual fuck?
You gonna squirt some more tears, you orange bitch?
Stop being a biased little baby, Don. Compared to all the other bosses in this game, it's a good thing she was tough. Her second form was worse with all the fucking little bugs and shit, and then boom, she flies.
And then dies with one shot from the pulse rifle.
I hate to admit it, but he's got a point with that one. I mean, the gun has unlimited ammo, so maybe hitting her a few times would have been fine.
And then in the end, Wesker didn't even need her DNA.
It turns out that Alexia's work wasn't much of anything.
Useless. Fucking C tier.
No.
No fucking way, Donnie.
Trash.
She was still a force to be reckoned with.
Trash.
Her virus was one of the most powerful in the franchise, and Wesker still wanted it. He attacks the entire complex for it. B tier.
Fucking garbage rank.
Definitely B tier, incredibly memorable, and honestly, it pisses Donnie off, so it stays.
Fuck you both, you limp dick motherfuckers.
Suck it up, big guy. Next is Chris Redfield, looking much sharper than last time.
He's still wearing his STARS outfit, even though Raccoon City was destroyed months back. Never forget, am I right?
Yeah. Plus, it has 8 inventory slots now, thank God. He can finally carry more items like all the cans of whoop-ass he thinks he's going to open on Wesker. Which fails terribly, of course.
Just a side note, but I love how Dead by Daylight kept Wesker losing his glasses when getting punched in the face from this scene back in 2000. That kind of shit just tickles me.
Can we go one list without you simping for DBD?
Yeah, it's cringe, dude.
Whatever, I like what I like. Back to Chris. He's much more of a badass in this one. I mean, there's the regular stuff like killing zombies and monsters. But then there's the fact he kills Alexia in all 3 of her forms. And he's still just a regular dude.
You gotta admire his balls.
Must we?
Dear God.
When he faces off with Wesker, he talks about how he's going to avenge his comrades and then tries to start shit with a pipe. It's not very effective, to say the least.
Then he spends the next 5 minutes getting his ass beat like a red-headed stepchild before finally getting lucky with the girders.
Not to ride on his dick harder than you two seem to be doing, but don't forget that Wesker's punches are hard enough to break through solid concrete. So the fact that Chris is able to survive it all is nothing short of a miracle.
He's wearing body armor.
More like plot armor.
True.
Either way, I will admit that he's pretty badass in this one. A huge improvement. A tier.
I agree. Solid A rank.
Same. I personally think he peaked here, but that's just me.
We'll get there. Okay, let's get to Steve Burnside.
Fuck yeah, this stupid piece of shit.
He's not that bad. Come on.
Donnie, listen to me.
Fuck you, Joe.
I'm gonna rip into this emo idiot and I'm going to enjoy it.
Sinister, Joe. Real weird.
Living up to the name, eh, Creepy Joe?
Look, this fucking idiot has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. The way he treats Claire is some of the cringiest shit I've ever seen. First, he treats her like a dog.
I don't want you following me, lady.
Then he boasts of how he's come to rescue her.
Don't worry, Claire. Your knight in shining armor is here.
Not to mention that he actually has the balls to tell her not to rely on her own brother.
He won't come. You'll just end up disappointed if you rely on others. Believe me, I know.
His father made him think this way. The bastard put his entire family in danger, and even though Steve knew this, he still loved him until the end.
You mean this?
Father.
We're not doing that again, Joe.
Fair enough.
I can't help but agree with you. However, you only play as him for a total of 2 rooms where all he does is kill like 6 zombies. This alone is hard to believe, seeing as how he can't hit a stationary target 3 feet in front of him.
Steve!
We haven't even touched on the fact that he's incredibly sleazy with Claire.
I thought you'd have no problem with that, Creepy Joe. At least he's trying to rub up against someone his own age.
Low-hanging fruit, Donnie. This horny motherfucker immediately kendos it up when they first meet.
Relax, beautiful. I said I was sorry.
Staring at her for so long that he nearly gets them killed.
Steve, watch out!
Or how about the time when he actually tries to kiss her while she slept?
I completely forgot about that part. Modern feminism would rip this kid up.
They wouldn't have to because he dies, remember? His body gets turned into a Shrek-like monster with an axe before having arguably one of the saddest deaths in the series.
Debatable, and still doesn't exempt him from everything else. Just because he had an interesting end doesn't mean that he wasn't the worst for 99% of his screen time. C rank, easily.
Sorry, Donnie. He's a poorly written one-off character.
It doesn't matter what you say. He's still A rank in my heart. It wasn't his fault that he was forced there, but he adapted and survived the best he could and overcame his mistrust of people.
C tier.
Look, I get both sides of this, and to be fair, he did have somewhat of an arc, so I'm putting him in low B rank.
Bullshit!
I'll take it.
It's reasonable. Plus, we need to move on.
Nice try, you fossil.
Eat my ass, fugitive.
Next is Claire Redfield herself. And honestly, I feel that she's pretty much the same in this as she was in 1998.
There's no kid for her to take care of.
Or lose for that matter.
And she even goes back to give Rodrigo the medicine.
Hemostatic medicine. How kind of you.
She's got jokes.
You must be one of Umbrella's lower level officers if you're in command of a backwater base like this one.
Huh? Hey, this thing's empty. You cheated me.
And of course,
cross-dressing freak.
Also, we never talked about the fact that she broke into an Umbrella facility in the first place on her own, somehow outran a helicopter's machine gun, and then did that sick move with blowing up what looks like 20 guys.
The move that was later copied shamelessly in that shitty movie.
Disgusting. Don't mention that again, please.
I was so pissed when I saw that.
Yeah, no cap. Anyways, Claire is pretty much S tier at this point. No bad qualities, improved gameplay through and through. Objections?
Nope.
None.
Cool. And we're done with Code Veronica.
Damn, that took forever.
Yeah, we got a little sidetracked a few times back there, but I'm glad that we're about a third of the way finished. So let's go ahead and take a quick break before we continue.
No arguments from me. I need to check with my parole officer anyways.
And I could use a quick nap. See you guys in a bit.